Welcome to the CEO Talk. The CEO Talk is a powerful platform which enables transformation. This is where leaders meet from various businesses and industries to discuss about the current challenges, current trends, innovation, technology, disruption, and so many other things that enable businesses and really help transform businesses. I'm very happy that we have a wonderful set of panelists today. Before I introduce the panelists, I would really join the organizer of the talk, Mr. Satish, in welcoming you all to the CEO Talk titled Rising to the Challenge with the Tech Advantage, presented by Tata Tele Business Services. So the esteemed panel that we have today, we've got Ajay Kumar Bansal, the Joint Managing Director of Associated Roadways Private Limited, Kavitha Jain, CEO of Edify Group, Kishore Borra, the Managing Director of Energytech Global Private Limited. We have Anil Agarwal, Managing Director, Jeevaka Industries Private Limited, Vivek Shukla, CEO of Nukkad Shops, and we have Mr. Kalidas KS, who is a Vice President, SME Operations, South Region for Tata Tele Business Services. On a quick note before we get started about Tata Tele Business Services. Tata Tele Business Services is part of the esteemed Tata Group of companies, country's leading enabler of connectivity and communication solutions for businesses, with services ranging from connectivity, collaboration, cloud security, IoT, and marketing solutions. TTBS offers the largest portfolio of ICT services for businesses in India. Also with fiber optic network running across 125,000 kilometers, operations in over 60 cities, 1,400 plus partners, and the largest team with 1,200 plus professionals, TTBS is well geared to cater to small, medium, and large business community in India. TTBS strives to always get the best technology and services to businesses so that they can improve the processes, reach customers more effectively, and manage their workforce more efficiently. And do big. Focus on customer centricity and innovation has helped TTBS garner recognition from customers and peers alike. Thank you very much for presenting this session to the organizers. My name is Govind Babu. I'm your host and anchor for this afternoon. I run 2 international executive search companies in Dubai and the United States, and I've been a trainer for the last decade, trained over 30,000 professionals and written a best-selling book called Life is Fundamentally Management. Okay. With this, I would like to now invite the panelists. We would really like to hear from you. And one of my first questions is to all of you. It could be like a quick, rapid fire round, we can say, just 60 to 90 seconds. But how has it been? How has the journey been through the pandemic? How has it impacted your business? I want to ask, I want to go around and ask. Let me start with Ajay.
Nice question. Actually, first 2-3 months, though, it was zero business, as I think everybody was in the same boat. Maybe from May onwards, little bit started as we come under essential commodities also. So only 10% of vehicles were moving. And slowly now things have come up to 80-90%. Things are normalized. But still the problem of drivers and all is still there. We are struggling with that. Our purchases have increased, but at the same time, seeing the condition of our customers, we are not able to ask them the increase in the freight and all. So end of the day, everybody is getting hit, including us. So things are normalized now, as of now.
right, Ajay? So that's good. Um, as we go around, I would like to pose this question to others as well. But I would like to ask Mr. Kalidas to kind of set the tone, and if he has a few words to say before we get started. Yes, Mr. Kalidas. You're muted, Mr. Kalidas. You're muted. Yeah.
So good afternoon to all. Let me wish all the panelists happy and prosperous New Year. Hopefully, pandemic free within a short time, and with a better economic growth, which we every one of hope to come as early as possible. So I would like to touch upon what we have seen in the last 6-8 months in the markets and the economies. So I think that will give us the insight what we had gone through, what we see in the market. And so as we know, this pandemic we have seen has come as a uh, sudden shock to the humankind as well as the economy or businesses. Initial days, what we have seen, uh, there are a lot of restrictions and social distancing norms government imposed. His business was trying to find out a way out to get come back to normal, and as the day and it was initially it was expected a shortfall. As the days pass, is realized we have to live with the virus. Then is realized is the new norm for us across to live, and it's become new normal. That's what we have seen. And initial days, we have seen there was a struggle, especially SME customers really struggled to survive. We have seen a lot of churn in the SME market, as well as there are a lot of employment also loss also seen in the market. But days pass through, business are try to come back to normal, and there is where we've seen a real change in the market and in businesses. So if you see that as the government social distancing norms impose, one very clear change what we have seen is the work from home has become a new normal, which was always been there, but it used to be a privilege. It's not, it is a privilege to the employees in the organization, but it's become a new way of working. That's a one very clear change which we have seen in the market. As the work from home has become way of working, collaboration tool adoption has really wrapped up. That's what you might have seen across, especially a lot of collaboration companies. License adoption is really scaled up. That's one very, very clear change we have seen across the markets. And there are other changes what we have seen. If you see, one is the education sector has become online. So I am very sure Kavitha Jain will be able to talk more about this, what she has seen in her business in the last 6-8 months. So one is that education system, which used to be offline, is moved to online, and that's a very clear adoption we have seen across the geographies and markets. And consumer buying behavior has really changed, because one is the people as due to current situation, online buying behavior is really scaled up. If you see the numbers, what we have seen is that October, November numbers, what we have seen in India, whatever smartphone sales happened, 45% of sales happened online. That's the kind of growth we are seeing in the online buying. That's one very clear change. Online buying behavior is really changed, and delivery companies really scaled up or efficiency built up. These are two things very, very clearly we have seen in the market, and that's a clear consumer behavior. And as these changes happen, we have seen a lot of security threats also happening come up. That's one of the issues we have seen in the digital adoption. What we have seen is a lot of security threats also come up. Another clear change, what is in our digital economy is really scaled up. If the RBI numbers, if you see is right, we see that 40% increase in the online payments or currency adopt payments. That's a kind of digital payment adoption we have seen across geographies. So if you see the background of all these changes is happened on the adoption of the technology. So very key takeaway for us is that last 6-8 months, technology adoption is really scaled up. Technology was always been there, but it's only been incremental to the business. It is never a part and parcel of the business, but the current situation really made this thing through to adopt the technology to get back to normal. And we see this technology will be a part and parcel of business planning way forward. That's a very we see the changes which will happen due to the current situation in the way forward also. So if you see the Indian market, precisely if you see India today in terms of digital adoption, if you see India is having today 85 crores data users. That's a big market today. And one good thing is that is 85 crores data market. It's the biggest smartphone market globally today. That's the kind of population we carry today. And if you see the numbers, last 8 months prior to pandemic, per person data consumption used to be 4 GB per person. Is moved to 11 GB per person. That's the kind of data consumption. That's very clearly shows people digital adoption is really scaled up, and content adoption is really scaled up, and that's the kind of market and population we are having. On top, as we have a young crowd, young population today, we see that digital and technologies adoption and technology planning in business planning will be the way forward as a country, as a business. We'll see the changes happening. That's a very, very key what we learned out of the last 7 8 months, and that is where we see it will continue to happen in the way forward also. In TDPS, what we try to do is that we telecom is always in a connectivity provider. What we have seen in telecom is changing towards not just connectivity provider, it is providing, moving to a technology provider. That's what we are seeing in the telecom sector today. And in TDPS, we try to provide the platforms for in businesses, for either in digital platform, cloud platform, or virtual platform, or collaboration tools. That is what we try to provide for SMEs to get their business moving and help them to grow faster. That's what we try to do. So this is what we have seen in the market in the last 7 8 months. Very clear intake for what we are seeing is that technology is really driving the business growth for across the segment. Yeah, over to Govind. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, Mr. Kalidas. Appreciate it. I think, yeah, that set the tone for this afternoon's conversation. Definitely, disruption has been there. There's been tremendous disruption in the market because of the market situation, and then how businesses have adapted to that by disrupting their own old business models using technology. I think that's a very interesting perspective, which a lot of the participants would like to listen to from each of you. But let's look at how others have gone through this pandemic. Let me ask this question to Vivek, who's been the probably go-to man for retailers and when shops have been shut, but how could they work through this? Yeah. Maybe a quick introduction about what you do also as you speak. That will be good for the participants. Vivek, yeah. Vivek, you're muted, Vivek. Yeah.
My apologies. So yeah, just to give you a brief, introduction, my name is Vivek, and I run this company called Nukkad Shops, wherein we help the retailers and F&B, store owners digitize their entire operations, right, from billing, inventory management, loyalty program, even help them go online and basically sell in their vicinity, because most of our businesses are localized. They focus on their they focus on their vicinity, they focus on 1,000 2,000 families around them. While business was great before pandemic, what we saw that when the lockdown happened, there was a lot of confusion initially, right? People were not very sure that where to get what to get, and we saw this similar confusion across the retailers also. But then what we saw that this basically fast tracked the adoption of the technology. People basically started trying to figure out that how can they take their stores online, how can they basically we saw a lot of new stores opening up. We saw that a lot of people who were into different businesses, they started opening, all of a sudden started opening supermarkets, or started opening started opening vegetable stores, etc. And and that's what is happening. And we saw that this new breed of retailers, they all wanted to adopt to technology. They always wanted to make sure that their stores are completely automated, and they are basically they were very focused on the customer experience. They were very focused on whether they can do the doorstep delivery, etc. And a similar trend we also saw on restaurant industry, right, wherein the industry was doing really bad till about July, or till July or so. We saw that if you look at today's numbers, a lot of these stores are doing better than what they were doing earlier, and it's largely happening because of food delivery adoption, etc. Wherein they knew that all of these guys knew that hey, the customers won't come to the restaurant anymore, so let's take the food to their homes, and that's what is working for them, is what we feel.
Right. No, good.
In fact, one of the case study I want to basically share before I go off. We basically did a massive implementation in Andhra Pradesh, where we basically helped the government basically take the agri inputs delivery to all the villages. We covered the entire state, almost 11,000 villages, and we saw the farmer basically going and adopting technology. He basically started ordering agri inputs, fertilizers, seeds, etc. Using these the kiosks that we put up on these centers. And basically we saw massive adoption in terms of digital payments also. So that was a first, and that was a basically eye opener, and that basically proves the point that if this pandemic helped overall technology adoption in a massive way.
Right. No, good to know, Vivek. I think we will hear a little bit more about that as we come around, ask a few more kind of questions. But I would like to ask the others as well, just keep it to 90 seconds or 2 minutes, just to get a kind of feeler of how you went through the pandemic. Anil, you've been running a large traditional business, right? How did you cope up with this? A quick 90 seconds to 2 minutes, yeah.
Initially, when pandemic lockdown was announced, we were also in trouble. Factories were closed for almost 2 months, and there was nobody, even state government was not coming for help. But slowly and steadily, I think steel industry is doing very good now. After pandemic, I think steel industry is better off compared to other industries. I don't know, but steel industry is doing quite good, and sales are good. Market has gone up almost by 40%. I don't know, this pandemic, this is not in India, it is the international market which has gone up, which is giving us the results also. And I don't know how long this will continue, but our steel industry, as far as today, it is doing very good.
That's very good. That's good news, good cheer. How about you, Kavitha? You've been in the kids related business. Now, again, I remember March when the lockdown happened, schools were the first to get impacted. How did you go through this?
Absolutely. It's wonderful when I hear everybody say their business is resuming, it is getting back to normal, and schools is the only area where we don't know when normalcy is going to return. Everything in our country is opened, including theaters, gyms, pubs, restaurants, but schools have not opened. And schools were the quickest to adapt. About 40% of urban private schools went online within the first 10 days of the lockdown being announced. And by June, 80% of private schools went online. It was such a massive shift for teachers to move from classroom teaching to online teaching, but they adapted so well, put in so much more work. Despite that, the fee receipts for most private schools in India stands at about only average of 70%. They've not even been able to recover their fee for the last year. They're struggling with, and there's so much uncertainty with the government maybe announcing, okay, everybody is going to get promoted. So parents feel it's okay if the child misses a year. Anyway, the child will get promoted up to grade 8. You can, take a back seat and not really focus on it. So I think it's been challenging for schools, most certainly. One is challenging to move online for teachers because they've never been exposed to something like this. Second is challenging in terms of uncertainty with no clarity as to when schools will resume, and every state is taking it differently. In fact, Karnataka and Maharashtra started schools. You'd be amazed to know the attendance was only 6% average in Karnataka when the school started. So we don't really know when normalcy is going to return to schools.
Right. Thank you, Kavitha. Yes, absolutely. I think it's, as you said, even theaters and gyms have opened, but why not schools? That's a big question. And then when you look at the pandemic, kids have been the least affected, right? And so there has to be some rationale. So let's see. And how about you, Kishore? You've been in the energy business. So very interesting that you said at the start, saying that people are sitting at home, so they use consuming more electricity. So I would like to know from you.
Thank you. So thank you, the talk, Satish and Govind, for this opportunity. I'll begin by introducing myself. My name is Kishore Borra, and I'm the MD of Energytech Global. I am also one of the managing committee member of HYSIA. For those of you who do not know what HYSIA is, it's a Hyderabad Software Enterprises Association, which is a 28-year-old body, which has got more than 300 registered members. And we represent nearly 90% of Hyderabad IT and ITS industry, both in terms of revenue as well as employee headcount. And what does Energytech do? So we are basically an IT company. We build enterprise software solutions for global energy retail markets. And we actually do that using open source technology. Right now, we are part of a big group called the Energy Collective Group. And what our group companies would do is they use our software, the suite of products that we have developed, to provide the best energy experience to the customers. If I have to simplify it further, our group companies would sell electricity to people of New Zealand and Australia, basically the citizens of New Zealand and Australia. As of now, we are selling electricity, and we are slowly entering into gas market as well as expanding into other regions. So as an IT division of the group at Energytech, we not only build and deliver the software products, but we also provide support, maintenance services, including customer service, customer experience as well. And I'm sure you would agree with me when I say that COVID has put all of us on the back foot. And I always say this with my staff: it started as a pandemic in health, but within no time it converted into an economic crisis, social crisis, emotional crisis, and in fact, if you have some kids at home, you know that it is a parental crisis too. And when I talk about not as an individual, but when I represent my company, I would say that we did pretty well. And I would also say we are lucky on two counts. One, we are part of the IT industry, which is relatively shock-proof from, it has got the luxury of working from home, and I'm really fortunate to be part of the IT industry. And second one is we are really fortunate enough to support 100% digital electricity retailing businesses in different parts of the world, which means our business model itself is 100% digital. And as you know, that the IT industry had the option of carry on with the minimal disruption relative to many other industries. And as Govind, you rightly mentioned, since electricity is the basic need for the human being, and with lockdowns and work from home, the electricity consumption numbers have increased worldwide. Therefore, as an IT business supporting electricity retailing throughout different parts of the world, we have also grown substantially during the COVID phase. And it definitely had a positive impact on our retail business revenues. And as a follow-on effect, our tech teams, our customer experience teams, we got busier month after month, and we never missed a beat in delivering all our objectives. And let me tell you the silver lining that we have seen in the middle of all these chaos. I operate from the eastern part of Hyderabad, and if you know Hyderabad, close to 550,000 workforce, IT workforce is working on the western part of Hyderabad, which is the high-tech city and Gachibowli, and I operate from the eastern side, where hardly you have 50,000 IT workforce. Recruitment was always quite challenging to me, but due to COVID and due to work from home trend, all of a sudden there is a change in the mindset of the people as well as mindset of the companies. So I hope a whole new job market has opened up for us, and it has resulted in completely changing our hiring practices, recruitment models, and we have witnessed an uptick in our recruitment numbers during this COVID phase. And our attrition has gone down to an all-time low of 1%. For the first time, we realized that we can actually go and partner with engineering colleges, conduct remote internship programs without even visiting those colleges. And without even visiting the colleges, we can actually conduct campus drives using remote proctoring tools and using digital technology. But you may ask me one question: what if these technologies are not present previously? Yes, they are, but we were not trying them either by saying they're too expensive, or we have always done things in a particular way. So this is about our company. I'll take just a few more minutes, not a few more minutes, a few more seconds. So when I talk about Hyderabad and Hyderabad ITS industry, that 2019-2020 Hyderabad has achieved, in fact Telangana has achieved 17.93% of growth in terms of IT and ITS exports, which is double the national average. Now we have done the latest surveys that we have done with the help of KPMG, and the government predictions are indicating that we are up for a 2-digit growth in terms of COVID. So I would say that many of the IT companies have survived reasonably well during the COVID. And if you are following news, and you would also know that another interesting factor is that despite the pandemic in 2020, multiple organizations, they have announced their opening of new centers in Hyderabad, and some of them they have announced second centers as well. So with even more investment planned, it is safe to say that Hyderabad is all set for the future and the new normal.
Right. Thank you, Kishore. That's very optimistic. And one of the questions that a lot of people in the industry ask me, especially when they feel the economy is down, some actually talk to me because I'm in the recruitment business, international recruitment as well as domestic. And people ask me because they want to see that recruitment is an indicator that the market is coming back, market is getting back. And the trend that I got in the first few days of the new year is I can see hiring becoming very vibrant. So definitely it's an indicator that market is up. But let me pose this question to Ajay. Ajay, how do you see the next 2 quarters panning out? How do you see ending the year? After the pandemic, once people come back, how do you see? Do you see a huge growth upside?
Things are improving, and definitely if you take logistic things, whatever shortfalls everybody has done, whether it is industries and except educational institutions, I'm telling for Kavitha ji, rest all things, I think things will come to normal position, and whatever loss has been absorbed, that will be covered up in next 3. If you see December month GST collection also in Telangana, it has crossed 1 crore 15 lakh some odd, that is highest ever. So keeping all that in mind, I feel things will definitely improve, and it is improving.
Good. Okay. And what about you, Anil? How do you see it? You already said that because of the international markets, you see a growth, but how do you see the domestic market?
It should be good. It should be good. People are coming back. Vaccine is also coming. So I hope and I see future should be good for everybody. Industry is picking up, trade is picking up, everything is picking up, services are picking up. Logistics, Ajay, I think you must be knowing there is shortage of trucks everywhere. Logistics problem is there. Freights have gone up. Education, Kavitha ji, I think revenues, your revenues may not, it's the same revenues what you were getting before pandemic. There is no loss of revenue for in education sector, at least I believe, because I am paying for my children. Even though they are studying online, I am paying full fees.
This is the thing of
seeing
debate.
all this, I see that future is very good for everybody. It should be good. I'm very, very, very optimistic. Thank you.
And Vivek, how do you see this, Vivek? How do you see the next 2 quarters pan out? Retail shops definitely retailers have adapted to technology, but then when the retail shops open, how do you see your business?
The good thing is, people are getting less and less scared of, going to stores also. And what we see is a very strong pipeline. We see very, innovative or very, new age stores coming up. And all those people who basically put their expansions on hold during June July quarter are now basically getting back into expansion mode. So I personally feel that 2021 is going to be India's year. It's just that I think the industry needs to basically invest more into IP creation, invest more into R&D. But yes, 2021, not just in like next 2 quarters, 2021 is going to be India's year.
Right. And Kishore, how do you see the next 2 quarters panning out? You already had a positive note about that.
Yes. As I told you that even we are looking at a 2-digit growth as an industry, Hyderabad IT industry, and also one of the things that we realized from the latest KPMG survey is that more than 70% of the businesses, they're doing pretty well, and they've gone through this resilience phase. They're geared up to work from home, and right now more than 95% of the companies are working from home, and a very, very less number of people have raised concerns about their margins and their balance sheets. So hopefully, when you look at all other sectors, IT is relatively better placed as far as my personal opinion, as well as the numbers are. That's what we're telling.
Right. Now here is a question. Rather, it's like a poll. I'm going to take a poll with the panelists. So I'm requesting Vivek also to switch on his video. So I really want to take a poll.
This is actually having an issue with the camera. I don't know. Somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can just spell it out. So I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to check for results, because this is a question which is again debatable, right? We've been toying on this idea: work from home or work from office. Work from home is we were forced to work from home, and now many people say that look, it's better to work in the office. Um, so what I'm going to do is, left thumbs up for work from office, right? And right thumbs up for work from home. And if you say that hybrid model is better, then 2 thumbs up, right? So can I have a quick show of hands? Okay, 2 thumbs up. Hybrid. Okay, I see hybrid.
Because I can't show my thumbs, I would say, we should go back to office.
Go back to office, is it? Okay. and Anil, that's okay. That's like work from office, is it? Anil and Ajay work from office. Okay. Okay. So we are like, I think we are equally balanced. Yeah, equally balanced. That's good. That's good. Right. So I mean this is a big question, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, and even employees. I think after the pandemic, there's a big question like how many will really even get back to work. One is the convenience of working from home, but again, second thing is the challenge of working from home is with all the with all the distractions, so to say, and accountability being an issue, right? So again, but what kind of technology did you adopt, or what kind of innovation you adopted to really manage work from home workforce, like people who worked remotely, and how did you ensure continuity of business, right? This is a big question that a lot of our what to say, participants as well as listeners would like to know, right? So Kavitha, would like to start with you, because you seem to be the most affected, right?
So maybe I'll just answer your previous question also. The problem is not in premium schools or international schools. Parents pay up. The challenge, like Edify, we've really been at 98% revenue collection. Hasn't really mattered much. But the challenge is with the mid-budget schools. They've really struggled. Like I said, an average of 70% revenue collection, but almost the same, because teacher salaries will have to be paid out, which is the highest expenditure in a school. So they're certainly struggling. And it's not that the future is bleak. Certainly it's good. Say, as soon as kids come back to school, everything is normal. One good thing about school is when you're a packed capacity school, you're not looking for new business. It's a set business, right? The same revenue comes year on year. So once schools reopen and children come back, we're going to be back to normal, like Mr. Anil said. It's just that when is that going to happen? Because like today's Times of India article said about 61% parents are willing to send their kids to school after they are vaccinated. Now imagine, even after vaccine is out, only 61% parents are willing to send the kids. So we don't even know when are we going to come close to that 100% attendance at school. Now to answer your second question, which you just asked, was, like I said, about by June, 80% of the private schools moved to teaching online. So they took up everything from Google Classroom to Zoom to whatever online teaching platforms were available to them. Again, here the challenge, given our socioeconomic diversity, the challenge was not for urban schools, because most parents had devices, and even if they didn't have individual devices for students, they could share, because they were working from home. They could share their own devices with the kids and manage the time and still be able to do things. But imagine places where network is an issue, hardware is an issue, paying capacity. I mean, to be able to afford a new device to learn was a challenge. That's where the learning really took a backseat. I mean, it's a little unfortunate that we are prioritizing in a list of priorities. Education is not on the top. Whereas if you see most countries, schools reopen. Sweden didn't close school for a single day. UK, for example, a team of pediatricians went up to the government and said it's going to be emotionally super damaging if the kids don't return to school. I think June 2nd of June, this report was given to the government, and 9th June, schools opened in UK. So most places schools have reopened, and there's no question of zero attendance or less attendance. Everybody was back to school, but for our country. But technology has been a great help, most certainly, because whatever learning has been possible because of the tech platforms. Um, like other speakers said, it's not that these platforms were not available earlier, but I think the willingness to learn and adapt to these platforms because of the crisis was it was inevitable, and hence people took to it. And I also see that in future, while the technology may not be used for online teaching once school returns, but definitely teachers have realized, or educators have realized, that the technology is giving them an advantage of making learning individualized and personalized to every student. They could do blended learning. So I'm really looking forward to see how this is going to be sustained over a period of time, even after normalcy returns and kids come back to school.
Right. Got it. Very interesting perspective. Thank you very much, Kavitha. Anil, construction has gone a little slow during the pandemic, Anil. So I'm sure that has impacted your business. But then, what were some of the technologies or things that you did to adapt to this and ensure business continuity in your business?
As such, there is nothing for us to do anything in technology aspect. We are basically a manufacturer. We manufacture, sell our goods, and it was as usual. Business was as usual for us. It was technology means what we have adopted is we had virtual meetings with the factory people. We started virtual meeting with the factory people. That's all we have did in the technology. Otherwise, we used to go physically or whatever may be. Now we are doing all Zoom meetings and all this. That's the only thing. Otherwise, business is as usual for us. And generally, we do our business over telecommunication is the best option for us. And that is going on still. Same is going on, and mails. That is the technology which we adopted previously. Now also it's the same thing going. As such, for us, technology is only meetings and all this.
Got it. Absolutely. And
being a manufacturer.
Sorry, we lost you there.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Sorry, we lost you there.
No, being a manufacturer, we continued. Yeah. Okay. Being a manufacturer, we only sell our products.
Okay.
That was normal. Again, you lost, or you are listening?
No, we listened. Yeah, we got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anil. And Vivek, I know you have enabled retailers very well. But are there any specific technologies which you adapted to kind of? I think your whole business was about enabling retailers using technology, right? You're muted.
Yeah, so basically, we always, supported work from home, before pandemic also. So transition to, working from home was not a big challenge. Although first, 10 days was a little chaotic because, a lot of people were going back to their hometown, and we basically had to, fix everyone's schedules, etc. Right. But yeah, apart from that, the adoption to technology, working from home by everyone was really, really quick. It was more of a logistical problem than a technology problem for us, because technology was already there, it was already in use, and also because we are basically a team which is spread out across India. So yeah, we could basically adopt to technology really quick. So nothing major. The reason why I mentioned that we would love to go back to offices was primarily because we go. I mean, people like us, at least people like me, we miss going back to office where we can meet colleagues, we can exchange ideas face to face. A lot of innovation, a lot of brainstorming happens that way, right? So I think that's one aspect that I really miss. Otherwise, working from home has been really stress free. You can avoid the whole traffic and all, but yeah, I think that's one really big aspect that I miss about not going to office.
That's good. Thanks for being candid. Yeah. And Ajay, one of the first businesses to open was yours. So I'm sure there was a rush and logistics was always a challenge, but any technologies that you adapted to kind of cope up with this?
In fact, transport business was never shut down. It was never it has to open. For essential commodities, it was always there. So with regards to adaptability of technology, I would like to say that ours is totally unorganized sector. The chances of technology is not very great. As Vivek ji was telling ki the problem was logistics problem, but not the technology problem. That is the right thing. Like for us also, my staff used to come to office and we have to send our staff to respective customers for making LRs and all. So that was again being a logistic person. Our logistic problem was there. How do we send it to different industrial areas? Because buses were closed, everything was closed. So, but still somehow we managed. Now, technology, every month I used to travel at least 4 5 times, whether it is Delhi, Bombay, or Bangalore. That for the first time I have heard about Zoom, MS Team, everything have started. Now, all virtual meetings have come up. So, in a way, in future also, I am sure that minimum 60 to 70% of traveling of businessmen will come down because now we are used to this. So in a way, it is a very good thing because for a 1 hour meeting, we used to go for the whole day, going by the flight, coming late night, that all we have come down. That is with regards to adaptability of this thing. One good thing happened because of pandemic, just I'm coming out of your question and sharing my view, is two things. Ki one, we have shared very good time with our family. I am sure nobody was sharing the quality time which we did in 2 to 3 months. Now we are almost used to it, and if not 100%, earlier if we were spending 10%, now we started spending 50%. That is one thing. Now we are used to it. Earlier outings were more, which has come down. Now if you take personal health, never we used to take care about health. Now as there was pandemic, we didn't have anything, so we started taking care of ourselves, whether it is walking, exercising, or whatever. So now that has become a routine for everybody. I mean, almost 70 80% must be taking care of their personal health when compared to earlier. Now it is better. So one positive aspect I have seen, that is during pandemic.
True, very true, excellent. And rightly said, I think traveling definitely has come down, and technology, I mean, leave alone intercity, but even within the city, like, okay, traveling from Uppal to Gachibowli, right? If it's going to take you like 2 hours, right? Look, why don't we finish it off in Zoom or MS Teams? So rightly said. Kishore, how about you? What kind of technologies did your company
Sure.
adapt?
So yeah, thanks, Govind. So before I talk about the kind of business continuity plan that we had and the kind of technologies that we have used, let me talk about the reason why I've shown you the hybrid working model. People who know me would get surprised when they see me supporting hybrid working model now, because if you have asked this question before pandemic, I would definitely say a full office setup. Because as a company, we never practiced work from home in the past. Many of the IT companies, they will have at least the work from, some of them will have work from home policy, but in our company, we never had any work from home policy in the past. And as you know, that COVID has, completely changed our lives forever. And I firmly believe that things would never be the same. So we have to get used to the new way of living, interacting and working. So my personal opinion is that remote work isn't going to be sustainable for a much longer. Even for an IT industry also, it's not going to be sustainable for much longer. But what I reckon would happen is remote work will continue after the pandemic, but in hybrid mode. And why do I say that? So if I give you the example of my company, and I told you in the beginning also, we have done pretty good job during the last 9 months. And, in fact, our numbers and, our metrics are nowhere in comparison with our previous years. But for it to happen, some people have to struggle a lot than others, especially managers, leads, leadership team. Because as you know that when you're working remotely, the communication is very hard. Team collaboration is very hard. So it was, we personally witnessed that the teamwork became very difficult working from home. And during at least the initial months, the collaboration was very hard, and we were slowly getting used to that change. Now we are getting better at that game. But on the top of that, imagine when you have onboarded a lot of staff during the COVID phase, You might not have done it intentionally. Maybe it is as a result of your previous campus drives, your previous lateral recruitment drives. So during the first 4 or 5 months, we have onboarded close to 50 people. Then imagine how difficult it is for a company to onboard huge numbers and train them on your tools, processes, and making sure that your work culture is not polluted because of inducting huge number of people in a remote manner. So we ended up spending a lot of extra hours to ensure that there are no communication gaps and all the teams are marching towards a common goal. So it was difficult. It was difficult, and we are getting used to it, because what happens is when you are working in office, when you are surrounded by your team members, you always amplify your strengths because you're always surrounded by people who can do what you cannot do. But that's not going to happen when you're working from home. And I'm not saying it is not possible. It is possible. You have to put some extra effort. And in Hyderabad, as I told you, that 600,000 IT and ITES staff are there. Now, last week, ICR decided to find the answer to this inevitable question. What is the question? When will the IT and ITES industry start returning to office? And you would be surprised to know that it's not going to happen anytime sooner. Right now, more than 90% of the companies, they're working from home. In big companies, it is even 95%. And our results have shown that until March, things are not going to change. It will be more or less the status quo, and gradually it will change towards the end of the year. Another interesting thing that we realized was, in IT industry, return to office 100% is never going to happen. And one thing that we have realized was broadband cuts, broadband issues, power cuts, and the work environment at homes. They turned out to be the major obstacle. So everyone is getting used to it. So it is slightly difficult, but I believe that expectations have changed, and they wanted to have that flexibility to be able to work from different places. And as I told you in the beginning, that our business model itself is supporting 100% digital retailing companies. So we have made a lot of investment over the years on cloud, on our digital infrastructure. So our people literally had the luxury of just walking out of the building with their laptop and pretty much work from anywhere. As I said, the challenge was in terms of team collaboration, communication, and those kind of related issues. But otherwise, overall, I think we do not have any challenges for the continuity of
Right. So now the question comes to productivity. See, with the remote workforce, again, sometimes motivation levels take a beating, because as Vivek said, he loves to come to office to meet your colleagues and to be around people. That itself is a good motivation, right? But Vivek, one question to you is, what were the things you did to sustain the motivation, keep the productivity on? Did you use any particular method? Did you adopt any process by which the motivation or employee engagement was there?
So I think one thing that we did, we basically opened up the hours for everyone. We gave them flexibility in working on their own hours, as long as they can check in twice a day, right? One in the morning, one in the evening, just to know what's happening. And this was primarily because everyone was working from home. Everyone is working from home even today. And it's really important, at least for the leadership, or at least for the managers, to know that what's happening with the team. How are we faring in terms of the goal we set aside for ourselves? And then, of course, we already have been using Slack. We have already been using Zoom, etc. Right? So I think it's more about the collaboration, more about checking in with the peers, checking in with the their managers or their colleagues. I think that's what made a lot of difference for us. And I feel that the productivity. Initially, we had this assumption that the productivity there will be productivity loss, but once we started, we realized that productivity was not really losing. It's just that we are spending a little bit of time in terms of collaboration, etc. But at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, that what we really miss is basically getting along with each other, laughing, having a good laugh, and basically having a good session of brainstorming about certain problems.
Right.
I still feel that it works really well if you are basically meeting face to face.
True. I agree. Kavitha, question to you is again motivation levels with teachers, motivation levels, especially teachers who are so used to connecting with kids on a live basis. Now here they are seeing kids with through computer screens. What kind of how did you sustain the motivation levels? What did you do?
I would say teachers were motivated because they were excited to get back to seeing their students, even if it is virtually, at least having them on the screen and listening to all that banter going on within the classroom, though it was online. But what made it difficult was students were smarter than teachers in technology. So they always knew a way out. You don't know if they were actually listening to the lecture or watching a YouTube video or doing something else. So teachers really had to see how do they engage students in a manner that they don't get distracted. So we had teachers coming up with brilliant ideas saying, okay, let's introduce QR coding into, we'll ask them to submit their assignments and create QR codes. Every day they had to think, okay, what new do I do that my children don't know yet? And I'm able to engage them and hold them on, keep that interest alive. So I think a lot of training, one, and then also as an organization, what we did was we did a lot of counseling session, meditation sessions, because for teachers, most of them are women. You would know in India, most of the teachers, I mean, about close to 82% are women, and they had homes to manage, they had cooking to do, they had cleaning to do, there was no maid during the pandemic. So they really had too much going on, and to be able to balance that also became a big crisis for teachers. The other challenge that came in was parents started teaching teachers, because they would sit beside the child and say, okay, you're not asking a question to my child, or you're not pronouncing this right, or I don't think this is the right perspective. So that was another major challenge that teachers had to deal with. And I remember so many times teachers would come back and say, we're not teaching the children, all we're doing in the class is managing parent issues more than really engaging the kids. So it took quite some time to create awareness in parents also, that you're actually hampering your child's education by doing what you're doing, not adding value to it. I think once things started opening up and parents started going to work, teachers' lives became easy. The educational journey became easy, most certainly. But I think that's one beautiful thing about teachers is the moment they have kids in front of them, they're charged up and motivated to give it all in to the students.
Right. Thank you. Very interesting perspective. Yeah, you're right. I think parents went through massive learning during pandemic. How to really, and I've got two teenage boys, so I can see the way they handle their college and their classes and all that, and multitasking, and the whole. It's a different dynamic. Yeah, it's a learning for parents as well. Yeah, good. So, a question to Anil is, Anil, what was the biggest challenge as a business? You went through this. I know it's a traditional business. You said not much changed as far as a manufacturing thing is concerned. But what would you say as a single biggest challenge right through the pandemic? And if it's a learning, if it's one big learning that you got out of that challenge?
One is finance and another is managing the labors. These two are the biggest challenges we got it from the pandemic. And luckily
availability of labor, is it? Availability of
availability of labor. Now I think we are comfortable, and finances also, it has taken a beating. That is also, now there is a challenge because of costing has gone up, raw material cost, everything has gone up. So your requirement of working capital has gone up tremendously, and banks are not coming forward to lend too much to steel industry, basically steel industry.
Okay.
So challenges were there for us, which we think we have managed well.
Okay. Ajay, what was one of the biggest challenge that you faced during the pandemic? Was it any different from what Anil is talking about? Availability of people? You're muted. Sorry, I can't hear you. That's fine. I think you're out. You stepped out.
And now I'm fine. I mean, I was not allowed to unmute. You have to unmute. For that, I was
Okay.
telling you. Okay, the biggest challenge we faced is the drivers. The drivers have gone during pandemic. They have gone to their respective villages, and to get back the drivers, it was a big challenge because there was problem in interstate travel also. If
Yeah.
a truck is coming, no extra person can onboard the truck and come. So extra driver will not able to mobilize it to the place where the truck is standing idle. So that was the biggest challenge we have faced.
Okay. 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 Thanks, Ajay. Thanks, Ajay. Kishore, from your end, what did you see as the biggest challenge?
So yeah, just two of them actually. One is infrastructure, the other one is team engagement and communication. So when I say infrastructure, it goes just beyond the laptop. As I said, we have the luxury of walking out of the building and working. That's what I said, but that's not true. The reason being, it goes beyond that. You need internet connectivity, you need power. When you wanted to support certain people for critical operations, they need to have backup at their house, right? They need to have right software. You should enable them to be able to dial in and participate in video and audio calls. So that's one of the thing. And during the first 1 week, when all these 1,500 companies in Hyderabad had to transition, we have to comply with a lot of rules. STPA had to give relaxation on moving of the equipment, and then the Department of Telecommunication had to give us certain permissions to be able to carry on these activities from work from home. I know government is very supportive. Government has, they've supported us very quickly, and then they've set some task force. And even during the middle of the lockdown, for 1 week, they allowed us to, roam on the roads and then take the equipment. So that's one. The second one is team collaboration and communication, team engagement and communication. So what happens is when you are working from home, so you need to have that rhythm. As Vivek mentioned, we also develop a certain routine to help our team members in a disciplined way of managing their day. So they start, all of them, they will have a team huddle for 5-10 minutes in the beginning of the day, and then again they end their day with a daily stand-up meeting. And it's very, very important to keep them engaged during the remote mode. So we used to have breakfast, lunches, and some singing competitions, photo competitions, whatnot. So just to make sure that they are not going through that anxiety levels. And another thing is, when someone is working from home, they feel like they are extracted from the mothership. So they're curious. They wanted to know what's going on. They wanted to know what's going on in your company, with clients, with common objectives. So it is very, very important for us. We realized it very soon, and then we put extra effort in terms of communication and in terms of ensuring that people would know that everything is happening. You have to put some extra effort, but that's a challenge, and we learned it. It took a while for us, but 9 months, so long time.
Right. And that's good. And how about you, Vivek? What is...
So, if you look at our offering, we basically, sell our services along with our own hardware, right? Wherein we basically give them a complete package for a retailer. So we basically, our most of our challenges were mostly on the logistics front, wherein we saw that, a lot of these guys wanted to go back to their hometown, their villages, etc. And we, realized that we'll have to ship the devices to their homes. And, during the pandemic, a lot of courier services were not available. So, and then basically, we figured out, because we have been doing this for quite some time, we somehow figured out through connections, etc. Second challenge was, we realized that a lot of people were sitting in their hometown, their homes, and somehow they did not have very good internet connections. So we had to arrange for that. A lot of people did not have proper office setup at home, proper sitting areas, etc., which was really straining them. For sitting for 8 hours or whatever, right? So we had to arrange for it. And then I think initially I mentioned that one of our largest project actually went live, and that involved a lot of hand holding, client meeting, etc. So travel was a really big challenge. In fact, I was traveling almost every week through the May to the client location, and every time you had to travel, you have to arrange all the passes, etc. So that was a really big challenge. And of course, in the last, see, we basically source these, we basically manufacture these devices, assemble these devices here in Hyderabad, but the parts actually comes from Taiwan, China, etc. And that was a challenge, because all of a sudden all the logistics was shut. there were no flights, there were no ships that were coming, there were no custom clearance, etc. So that basically, created a lot of trouble. But then, obviously we figured out, alternatives.
Right. Right. Excellent. So one of the related questions is, now that a lot of the workforce is coming back into action, market is getting up, we can see that productivity is increasing, and more businesses are scaling up, right? So if you would look at what could be one big enterprise wide technology or enterprise wide um, uh, thing that you would do to enhance productivity, because see, right now, again, people who have worked from home, you can also say that there has been some dip in productivity and now they're coming back. It could also be looked at that. But what is that one enterprise solution or technology or thing that you would have you would want to adopt, or you have already adapted to kind of ensure that the productivity is sustained and it only grows, it only gets better? Kavitha, anything from your end?
Yeah, I think LMS, learner management system, is something that I think will help us sustain engagement and making learning individual and personalized for students and for educators to connect with them outside the classroom. That's something, and we have struggled to train teachers on it, but now that they are trained, I think it's going to be smooth and easy to sustain that.
Right. And you see that only growing and enhancing productivity going forward.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. For both, for the teachers as well as for the students' performance.
Right.
Productivity of students is equally important in our case. I mean, it's not just the staff, but ultimately the child has to be motivated to learn in the given environment. Their mental well-being is so important.
True.
They've lost that safe space to play, to connect with their friends. They've just lost it. I mean, they don't get to go out and meet their friends as often. So also, as difficult as it is for parents to be at home, it's even more difficult for students, young children, to be at home.
Absolutely.
So their productivity also really matters, and LMS gives them that, okay, this is my maybe a gaming board, my scoreboard. I know what I'm doing, where do I stand, what is it that I have to learn, and it need not be same as my friends. It can be very personal to what I'm doing. So I think it enhances productivity in terms of learning for everybody.
True. Very nice. Yes, absolutely. Ajay, anything from your end? What do you see as a tool for productivity?
Yeah. The change what we have adopted is ki earlier our staff used to work on desktop only, but after this pandemic and work from home, though our work is totally work from office, but during that time we realized ki at least if we would have got 4-5 laptops, my core team can work it from home online as well. So that we have adopted, and once the pandemic was lifted, I mean once the lockdown was lifted, first thing I did is I replaced 4-5 desktops with the laptops and asked my guys to carry the laptop. If at all anything happens, we can do it online from home also. So that is the thing I have changed, like, so that continuity of the business should be there.
Yeah, mobile adoption as well is very important. I mean, laptop and then mobile, because everybody has a mobile, so that is important. Anil, how about you? What do you see as a big tool for productivity going forward?
We learned that we can have a lot of Zoom meetings, video conferencing. Previously, we never had this type of meetings. Now we learned that Zoom meetings and video conferencing can be of a great help. Not only one meetings in a day, we can have 2-3 meetings with our factory people, and it can be very, very productive. See, we are talking on a telephone and talking one-to-one through Zoom or video conferencing is a different thing, totally different. We can read the face, we can read the mind, we can read everything. Talking on telephone is totally different. So we learned that let's have a Zoom meeting or let's have a video conferencing continuously after this also. That's the biggest thing which we have learned.
Very true. Very true. Vivek, how about you?
So biggest learning has been, I mean, I used to travel a lot, and the biggest learning is that a lot can be accomplished over these Zoom calls or phone calls or collaboration tools, etc. Which is a huge time saver, right? I think Ajay rightly mentioned earlier in the session that he used to travel for 1 hour meeting to entirely different city, waking up early in the morning, coming back late in the night. And this is a problem for every executive. This is a problem across the industry, right? For any industry. And one thing that everyone learned that a lot of this can be replaced by simply a Zoom call. So I think that was the biggest learning, biggest adoption. One thing that I would like to improve, while we basically brought in a lot of processes about daily huddles, frequent check-ins, etc. Uh, I think learning overall has taken a slight beating, right? Focus has a lot been on the delivery, has a lot been on the achieving the timelines, etc. recently. And I'm not saying just this for me. I'm saying this across the industry. I think this is happening for most of the guys I interact with. I think 2021 people will start focusing a lot on the learnability, whether we go back to office or not for another few months. I think people will start investing a lot on learning. We used to have this beautiful sessions every week in offices where somebody used to talk about a new concept, new technology, uh, which he learns and he basically wants to share with the team. Those kind of things probably will go online a lot more. Those kind of sessions will start happening. I think that's what should happen. And yeah, adapting to a learning management tool might be really great.
Excellent. And talking about learning, my last question really for the day is, before we kind of wind up, is what is what is one thing that you learned so strongly which you want to share with your fellow CEOs and people of similar capacity, and even the participants today, is if this pandemic has taught you one thing, it could be like a tagline or some just quick sentence. Kishore, what would you say as the
I
biggest
would
thing?
say get over it, get going, and get used to it. Uh, why I say that? Because if having gone through this pandemic experience, if you are a company which has not invested on embracing the digital technology or not made digital investment, now you need to start thinking about it. And then personally, I'm a big believer of people strength and people collaboration, and I firmly believe that. No one can actually build a great business. You have to build people, and in turn people have to build the business. So one thing that really worked for me during last 9 months, and which I would strongly suggest for others, is I always taken care of the physical safety, health, and mental well-being of my staff, and I kept it as my top priority. And I've done everything at my capacity to reduce the anxiety levels of my staff during difficult times. And then I'm now getting used to it, and then learning how to prepare the new workforce or the existing workforce on the new ways of working. So probably, yeah, that's what I say: get over it, get going, and get used to it. It's going to be the new maybe mantra, at least for me.
Fantastic. Kavitha?
Two things. One is adaptability and resilience of humankind to fight through any crisis and emerge successful. I think that's really a key takeaway for all of us. And second thing is technology is the way forward. Irrespective of which industry, which segment, people will have to embrace it eventually to make their business shock proof to such um, maybe contingencies.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Ajay? Yeah,
Hello.
you're muted.
Yeah, I'm here. Two things from my side. One is staff. Staff is the strength of any organization. So we have to be taking care of the staff very well, and whoever has taken care of their staff during the pandemic 2-3 months, so they will be more benefited in future. They will remember ki during that time we had to take care of our staff. So 3/4 salary. And if we would have given whole month salary, keeping in view, keeping in mind ki their problems are as it is. So if that we keep on doing, future the staff will help us.
Very good. The loyalty will increase.
And do not take any hasty decisions like.
Right. Good. Sorry, we lost you there. Yes, Mr. Anil, words from you, closing words.
Yeah. One is be prepared for next pandemic. Everybody is talking about in future also. You can be prepared for that. Second is take care of your staff, laborers. During your pandemic or during lockdown time also, we have paid to our staff and labor fully for 2 months also. So that we had to take care of our staff, laborers, everything, and be prepared for next eventuality.
True.
Yeah.
Vivek?
So I think perseverance and adaptability are two big lessons for me. When it happened, I saw a lot of a lot of friends, lot of basically other CEOs I know really panicking about what will happen, right? I mean, the future is totally uncertain, whether we'll survive this pandemic and all. But end of the day, I'm seeing that most of us basically are coming out of this unscratched, and in fact a lot of us are doing better than what we were doing earlier. So yeah, I think really important thing is that people should know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Just keep the faith, keep working, and adopt to the situation, right? It's not that this pandemic happened and nothing will happen, nothing like this will happen again ever again. It's just that keep the faith and keep moving, respect your employees, and in return they will respect you. They will basically you will see that there is an increased loyalty from the employees. I think these were the biggest lesson for me.
Very good. So I think, I think most of you are resonating with adaptability. And one of my favorite business coaches says that the dinosaur perished simply because it was not adaptable, whereas the cockroach survived, because it is adapting. And then rightly said, the pandemic is here to stay. It's like the earlier virus avatars. It's going to be here. Only thing is we need to immunize ourselves by adapting to it. So fantastic conversation I've had this evening with all of you. Before we close, I would like to ask Mr. Kalidas to say a few closing words and thank the panelists.
Okay, so what as a group, what we believe is that India have a huge potential, especially in SME market. Because if India have to keep the growth phase for the GDP or economically globally become economic power, we have to get our SME growth story right. That's what we believe as a group, and we believe that we have the capacity and capabilities as a country today, and it is very much possible. Only way is that we want to have enterprises and organizations make their employees to be digitally trained and illiterate. That's very, very key for our sustainability and cost-effective and better productivity. And technology should be the part and parcel of business planning for a cost-effective output for us to become globally competitive. And that's what as a group we believe. And Tata as a group, we've committed to get the technology to to the businesses and whenever it's available and at in a cost-effective manner. That's our commitment to the SME business in India. And we'll continue, we'll hold on to that, and we'll contribute to make it a success. That's what we commit to the as a group to the industries. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kalidas. I would like to thank you very much, participants, for being here. If you have any questions for any of our panelists, please put it in the chat box, and we will be happy to hear from any of you if you have any questions. But as we close, on the closing note, I just want to close on a lighter note. What is one thing that you did for a stress buster? Vivek, quick note.
I think playing is spending time with the kids, spending playing with them was this huge stress buster for anyone.
Right.
And one learning again, all of us had that, hey, if your kids drop into a Zoom call, it's perfectly okay, right? Because everyone is working from home, and that is bound to happen. So I think that was I mean, it used to be considered a big taboo earlier, but now I think this is perfectly acceptable.
Right. And Kishore, how about you? One line on a stress buster?
My kids have been fighting with us for a dog since many, many years, and finally they got one, and it's 9 months old now. So just
Excellent, excellent. That's nice. Great. Anil?
Yeah, relax with family, enjoy with family. That's all, chill. That's the biggest stress buster.
Right. And Ajay, how about you?
Playing Mafia with my kids. That was the stress buster during pandemic. Daily we used to play that.
Right. Excellent. How about you, Mr. Kalidas?
So see, after a long time, after 20, 25 years, I really spend real time with my family. That's what I see out of the last 7, 8 months, which I never thought of, which I will do in my life. But I'm really able to spend very quality time with the family, and in fact, I was in a position to go back and say, how do I take care of my health, not for today, only for tomorrow, build up and spend time on that. These are two things which I am really able to make up and really make up and spend time.
Right. Thank you very much. Kavitha had to leave due to something very urgent. She really apologizes for that. But I would like to sincerely thank Kavitha, the panelists, Kavitha, Vivek, Shukla, Anil, Kishore, Ajay Kumar, and on behalf of the organizers, on behalf of the talk team, Mr. Satish, on behalf of Tata Telebusiness Services, Mr. Kalidas, thank you very much for being here this afternoon, and really appreciate the panelists in giving their candid views about how they went through the pandemic and how technology adoption or the things that you did, you so freely shared everything. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Ajay. Even if you were out of your office, you still were eager to join the conversation. Really appreciate it. I will be very happy to connect with each of you after this call, and really thank you for all the support this afternoon, for sharing your views. Really appreciate the participants who came in this afternoon to listen to the CEO's talk. Thank you all, and see you all in the next edition whenever we get a chance to catch up again and to share such ideas, maybe not out of the pandemic, but in real positive, great times, right? Wish you all a great, phenomenal 2021. May all your businesses flourish, and may all of you get multi times success in your business. Thank you very much.